In 1996, the Egyptian government approved a $10 million excavation project. The target, the area beneath the Sphinx. The man in charge, Zahi Hawass, personally entered the underground tunnels and told the cameras, even Indiana Jones couldn't imagine such a hidden realm. We are about to uncover a 1,000-year-old mystery. The whole world waited for him to dig something up. 2 years later, he suddenly announced the project's termination. There's nothing down there. $10 million and 2 years of digging and nothing. To figure out what he is actually hiding, we first have to talk about where this project came from. In 1991, an American research team visited Egypt. Using radar to scan the Sphinx, they detected a room-sized cavity beneath the left front paw. When the news broke, the world went wild. NBC produced a 1-hour primetime documentary that reached over 30 million viewers. So, how did the Egyptian government react? They immediately banned all further research. The man who ordered the ban was Zahi Hawass. At the time, he was the chairman of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, essentially the boss of Egyptian archaeology. What gets dug up, what gets published, and what outsiders are allowed to know is all up to him. Back then, what did he say about the American team? His exact words were, "The American wishful thinking and baseless fabrication." The result? A year after banning the research, he authorized $10 million of his own budget to dig in that exact same spot. Think about that. Really think about it. But it gets even weirder. The existence of that secret chamber was actually predicted 59 years earlier. In 1932, an American man lying in bed spoke in his sleep. Beneath the front paw of the Sphinx is hidden the secret of the true origin of humanity. Scientists will discover it in the 90s. This man was Edgar Cayce, known as a sleeping prophet. He specialized in giving prophecies while asleep, with people stationed by his bed to record his every word. You might think he was a fraud, but the problem is, many of his predictions actually came true. He predicted the 1929 stock market crash, it crashed. He predicted Hitler's rise and fall, he rose and fell. He predicted the collapse of the Soviet Union, it collapsed. He even precisely predicted he would die on January 3, 1945. He died on that exact day. 59 years later, in 1991, American scientists actually detected a secret chamber beneath the left front paw of the Sphinx. The timing, the location, Cayce also said that chamber preserved the archives of humanity's true origins, including the complete history of the legendary Atlantis. You could say he guessed, but what are the odds of guessing the time, the location, and the detail that it would be found in the 90s? Fine, let's say the chamber exists. What massive secret could be hidden inside? This brings us to the problems with the Sphinx itself. Textbooks tell you the Sphinx was built 4,500 years ago by Pharaoh Khafre. But do you know how they reached that conclusion? Only 2 pieces of evidence. First, the pyramid next to it is supposedly the tomb of Khafre's father, Khufu. Second, some people think the face of the Sphinx looks like Khafre. That settled it for 4,500 years. The problem is, no mummy has ever been found in that pyramid. As for the looking like Khafre claim, a facial comparison was later conducted. The angle from the Sphinx's lip to the corner of its eye is double that of Khafre's statues. A 200% difference is called a match. Here comes the real kicker. In the 19th century, a French archaeologist unearthed a stone tablet stating that the Sphinx had been damaged by lightning and Pharaoh Khufu ordered its repair. Khufu was Khafre's father. According to official history, Khufu was already dead when the Sphinx was supposed to have been started. How does a dead man order repairs? Is he time traveling? So the history you learned has no hard evidence, it's all guesswork. So how old is the Sphinx? In 1991, that American team gave an answer that made everyone uneasy. The lead researcher, Robert Schoch, was a geologist. He wasn't there to study history, he was there to look at rocks. When he looked at the enclosure walls surrounding the Sphinx, he was stunned. The erosion marks on the limestone weren't caused by wind and sand, they were caused by rushing rainwater. You might ask, what's wrong with a little rain? The problem is, this region has been the Sahara Desert for 5,000 years, so dry could kill a camel. Under these climatic conditions, it is impossible to form large-scale water erosion marks. It's like finding a rusted-out umbrella in a city where it never rains. The umbrella is real, the rust is real, but where did the rain come from? Geology provides the answer. The last time this land saw heavy rainfall was 12,000 years ago, at the end of the last ice age. What does 12,000 years ago mean? According to official history, humans were still drawing stick figures in caves and smashing nuts with rocks. You're telling me these primitive people carved a 73-meter-long giant statue out of solid bedrock? Some people weren't convinced, saying you can't draw conclusions from a few photos. Researcher John Anthony West conducted an experiment. He found a top geologist at Oxford University and showed him photos of the Sphinx's enclosure walls, intentionally covering the head of the statue. He asked, "What kind of erosion is this?" The geologist glanced at it and blurted out, "Rainwater erosion, no doubt." When West uncovered the rest of the photo, the geologist was stunned. He later explained that wind and sand erosion is horizontal and smooths the surface, while rainwater erosion is vertical, carving deep fissures as it flows down. The marks on the Sphinx are 100% the latter. When this conclusion was published, what was the mainstream academic reaction? They ignored it. No one refuted it because they couldn't. No one acknowledged it because they didn't dare. Once you admit the Sphinx was built 12,000 years ago, the entire history of human civilization has to be torn up and rewritten. Who wants to do that? Who dares to do that? But the discovery of one site made the 12,000-year-old humans could only draw on walls theory completely untenable. In 1994, a shepherd in eastern Turkey kicked a rock while tending his sheep. He dug a bit and found more rocks layered underneath, seemingly without end. German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt led a team that dug for 20 years. What they found left the global archaeological community speechless. It was a massive complex. Dozens of T-shaped stone pillars formed concentric circles. Each pillar was 5.4 meters high and weighed 7 to 10 tons, covered in terrifyingly intricate carvings of lions, snakes, scorpions, and vultures. Some pillars even featured human faces at the top. This site is called Göbekli Tepe. Carbon-14 dating shows it is over 12,000 years old. What does 12,000 years mean? It's 6,000 years older than Stonehenge. 6,000 years older than the Sumerian civilization. 6,000 years before humans invented writing. Put another way, the time between the construction of Göbekli Tepe and Stonehenge is as long as the time between Stonehenge and today. Even weirder, this site was intentionally buried by people. It wasn't covered by sandstorms. Someone used soil to fill the whole thing in, as if to seal something away. If people 12,000 years ago could build this, carve these reliefs, and organize a project of this scale, why couldn't they build the Sphinx? Göbekli Tepe and the Sphinx are thousands of miles apart, yet both point to the same timeline. 12,000 years ago. Coincidentally, that is the same time Plato cited for the destruction of Atlantis. You might think Atlantis is a myth, but Plato never said he made it up. He wrote clearly that it was told to his teacher by an Egyptian priest. What did the priest say? He said, "You Greeks only remember the most recent great flood and have forgotten all the earlier history. But we Egyptians preserve all the ancient records." Where are those records hidden? Edgar Cayce said they are right there, in the Hall of Records beneath the front paw of the Sphinx. Now back to Zahi Hawass. In 2015, someone confronted him with these questions during a public academic debate. His opponent was Graham Hancock, author of Fingerprints of the Gods. Before the debate even started, Hawass exploded because Hancock had a photo of Robert Bauval in his slideshow. Who is Bauval? He's the researcher who proposed that the pyramids align with Orion and that the Sphinx dates back to 10,500 BC. The moment Hawass saw that photo, he slammed the table. "If you mention his name once, I am leaving immediately." Later, during the Q&A, a female scholar asked if the discovery of Göbekli Tepe would change our understanding of ancient Egyptian history. Hawass's reply, "I have never heard of that site." A man who controls every antiquity in Egypt had never heard of the most significant archaeological discovery of the last 30 years? There is a recording of that debate. In the video, Hawass is sweating profusely, wiping his forehead, avoiding core questions, and rushing to sit down before he even finishes speaking. What is he afraid of? There are several holes on the Sphinx. It's no secret. One on the head is sealed with cement. One on the back is left open. The ground between the two front paws is paved with stone tiles and covered with wooden boards. If you travel to Egypt now, you can see these holes with your own eyes. Where do they lead? Hawass's explanation is that they are abandoned shafts dug by ancient tomb robbers and have no value. Then why seal them with cement? Why cover them with boards? Why not let anyone go down and look? If it's just a useless hole, why the tension? If you go to the Giza Plateau today, you'll see a strange sight. The ground around the Sphinx is all flat bedrock, except for the area between the front paws, which is paved with tiles and covered by wood. Those tiles weren't added later. They are part of the original foundation from the day the Sphinx was unearthed. What are they covering? Maybe it's nothing. Maybe just a pile of sand. Or maybe it's a secret chamber. Maybe a hall of records. Maybe 12,000 years of lost human memory. $10 million spent in 2 years of digging only to stop suddenly. A wooden board has sat there for 100 years, and no one has ever lifted it. Every time someone wants to dig down, a hand pushes it back. What is that hand protecting? Or what is it fearing? Maybe one day that board will be lifted, and the truth will be revealed to the world. Maybe it never will be. But some questions, once asked, can no longer be ignored. Who are we? Where do we come from? Who else was here before us? The answer might be right there under the sand. Someone just isn't letting you see it yet.